Hi, I'm Josh Curving. Welcome to another Death Battle prediction video. But first, we have a lot to talk about. First thing you might notice is that you can actually see fine movement a little bit with my camera. That is because I have an entirely new laptop that I'm using right now because my old one pretty much exploded. That might be a good explanation for why there was no Dan versus Hercule prediction. But to be entirely fair, I did predict that one back in Bucky versus Fox. So we might be able to count that one for my record? I don't know. This is a new laptop. My big thing with that was basically getting all my files off, which was pretty scary, especially considering the animation for Fatal Fiction is on there. So that was good that I managed to retrieve everything. And plus, I have a new laptop now, which is certainly better than what I had before. So then we've got Raiden versus Wolverine, I think was the one that I had last done a video for. That basically went exactly as planned. The animation was good. The voice acting was good. Everything seemed in place other than just the weirdness of the fact that they only gave Raiden one weapon. Honestly, though, it's a nitpick. They did it just so that it wouldn't seem like a complete overwhelmingness against Wolverine, and he really only needed the one sword anyway. Okay, so fast forward right up into Hercule versus Dan. It was essentially a joke fight, and the winner was the obvious choice. I said it back in Bucky versus Fox. Dan is shit tier amongst mid tiers, and respectfully speaking, of course. And Hercule is like, he's shit compared to Dragon Ball characters. So it's easy to see why Hercule would be winning this fight. It's not that much of a stretch. So they made the right choice. The episode itself was hilarious. The animation was probably one of the funniest ones we've seen. And what I do like is that they didn't show them as being completely incompetent. Well, they showed Dan as being completely incompetent because he is. They didn't show Hercule as being completely incompetent, though. Like, during the first little bit, they were making those, like, slow fighting, but it wasn't completely garbage. It was like a normal human fighting or something. Other than that, the only thing I can say is that I am extremely glad that they did not include Brazilian Dan. For those of you who do not know the terror of Brazilian Dan, do not look for it. Because when you do, just disappointment. Lots of disappointment. Anyway, so we have our next fight. I am livid about this next fight. So we have Yang Xiao from Ruby versus Tifa Lockheart from Final Fantasy. So, for at least a year and a half now, ever since really Ruby started, I've been seeing people recommending Ruby characters be in Death Battle. And every time I've been very quick to give them a swift slap in the dick and say, fuck off until we actually get some feats out of them. We've gotten a few feats out of them, and Death Battle is completely jumping the gun. I'm honestly not salty about the fact that Yang realistically should lose this fight. No, this isn't even really a contest. This is a continental, hugely hypersonic character against maybe a multi-city block level with a dubious scaling. It's honestly a no-brainer. Tifa stomps hard, with every real consideration taken into effect that you should take into account. Things like assuming that Tifa was not in any fights in Final Fantasy VII because she's optional for the party. Things like that are just silly. While I do not necessarily agree with Continental Tifa, she can easily make city level, which is enough to just one-shot Yang and the entirety of Team Ruby, really. So, this one is bringing massive amounts of salt, because not only is one of the characters completely in a situation they cannot win, or at least they shouldn't. I'll get to that in a bit. The other fighter is a much-loved character who's probably going to get screwed, mind you, here. 2, this is before any Ruby character should be appearing in Death Battle. we're starting volume 3 soon, in like a couple of weeks. So, do they really think that this is the epitome of where Yang's power is going to be? Like, I just don't see their logic in choosing to do a RWBY character this early in the story. This is the equivalent of taking Harry Potter as of book 1 and putting them up against someone. It's just completely jumping the gun on it, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Because Death Battle is supposed to be about taking characters at their maximum potential, which is what Death Battle keeps on trying to grind into us, and they're not even letting Yang get anywhere in near her maximum potential. So, realistically speaking, just this is a fight Yang cannot win. Her best feats are like punching a mech that a flaming corgi managed to take down as well in one hit. Yang's feats at this point in the story, they will get better. I know this because that's the kind of show RWBY is. It's just going to escalate. But not yet. It hasn't. Which is why I'm so pissed that we're putting a character who's been in less episodes of a show than media that the other character's been in. Yes, I actually counted Tifa has... Well, sorry, no, it's half, I think. Tifa has been in, I think, 11 or 12 games and movies and such. And Yang's been in about 22-ish episodes. So, this just doesn't seem right. It's completely disrespectful to one of the characters. I don't know. I suppose the same could be said of Wolverine versus Raiden, because Raiden had been in so few, but he at least had the showings, and there isn't plans for another Metal Gear Rising at this point. Kind of. I won't get into the Konami disaster, please. But it just seems like Death Battle's trying to jump on the RWBY train. I know that they are somewhat working with Rooster Teeth on this, which also concerns me. But that's kind of where the whole thing is coming from. I doubt Rooster Teeth demanded that fight Tifa or anything like that. I doubt they specified an opponent. So, realistically, if they were choosing Yang, they should have... If they were guaranteed, if they had to, if Rooster Teeth held them at fucking gunpoint and said, make an episode with Yang, they should choose someone within her capabilities, like in some general aspect. I can picture so many characters that they could have put her up against. Vi from League of Legends fits way better given the theme. Like, large gauntlet weapons, and they both, like, fight crime in cities. Both are kind of hard asses. It fits way better than Tifa versus Yang. Hitomi from Dead or Alive fits way better in terms of stats at the very least. Who else? Tex, if you want to go the Rooster Teeth route, because then you'd actually have a Rooster Teeth character versus another Rooster Teeth character. Not that that goes very well for Tex at all, I must say. But just there's so many better choices than Tifa versus Yang. It's a terrible matchup. And I will honestly say that it is probably my least favorite matchup in the history of the show. Just because it's blatantly disregarding the development that a character is going to get. I mean, essentially, it's what they did to Goku with Dragon Ball Super. So, because we all know that. And I'm not touching upon that shit with a 10-foot pole. But just, I honestly, there's no point in me going into too many of the stats. She gets Continental scaling from some materia shit. I looked at some of the calcs. Everyone else who is being rational on the forums is essentially looking at these calcs going, yep, this is legit, so that I see no reason to doubt it. And then if not, just scaling up to city level, just any scrubs. She can flip emerald weapon, she can throw cloud at the speed of sound. The best feats that Yang has going for her is when Nora hit her through the roof, which hit her 25 kilometers in the air. Woo, it's pretty good. Certainly a good durability feat, especially one that's casual, but it's nothing near enough to take on a character like Tifa. So that brings us to the biggest point in this whole thing. Who will win? Probably Yang, oddly enough. The way I see it, Rooster Teeth is specifically contacted Screw Attack to make this episode. I highly doubt that they would risk having Yang die in this. And Screwattack and Rooster Teeth are actually pretty close as far as companies go. They go to each other's conventions and stuff like that. I highly doubt that Death Battle is going to kind of jeopardize any of that by just blatantly slaughtering one of the characters. It just seems massively disrespectful, especially to Monty. A lot of people are kind of against even like really mentioning Monty in terms of why this episode shouldn't have happened. But fuck, it's been less than a year since he died, and he was a massive inspiration for both Torian and everyone at Screwattack. I don't see them killing Yang off. Killing off one of his 4 main creations. I don't see it happening. And honestly, if they do, then it kind of comes across as pretty disrespectful. Honestly, there's not that much for me to say here. There's... Stats-wise, oh yeah, Tifa stomps hard. Rationale-wise, it's kind of Yang's fight to win, because I can already see the exact logic that they will probably use to explain Yang winning. They will say, oh, her semblance, which, for those who don't know, is a unique ability in the Ruby universe. Her semblance allows her to take punishment that she gets. So any damage that she takes, she can add to her strength. Pretty awesome. Similar to Premium Heart, but I would actually say that her semblance is better than Premium Heart, because Premium Heart puts it up by a set rate. Yang semblance does it based on what's hitting her. So I would probably give that edge to Yang, if at all, because their durabilities aren't anywhere close, so whatever. So they're going to say her semblance. Well, while Tifa may be stronger at first, Yang's semblance allowed her to take all the hits, and her aura, which is a protective barrier in the Rubyverse, that allows you to take all sorts of crazy shit in terms of damage, and is the reason why out of all of these fights where people are swinging around scythes and shooting planes in half, we've only actually had one character die. Even those laser blasts that directly hit White Fang Mooks and sliced entire planes in half, you could see them flailing their arms while they were flying through the air. They were definitely alive, which is pretty fucking weird. But it's worth mentioning. So basically what they're going to say is her semblance allowed her to take all of the damage with her aura, and just rebound it until she could eventually become stronger than Tifa and kill her. That's essentially what they're going to boil it down to. Which I don't really agree with. It's wrong, especially as far as stats go. It's a no limits fallacy, which is, let's face it, we've seen a lot of them on Death Battle, such as, Scorpion's in the Netherrealm, he gets infinitely stronger with no defined limit. Or Toph can sense Earth in the air, so she can suddenly react to massively hypersonic speeds. There's been a lot of them, and I will not be surprised if we see them here. That said, I've been rambling on for pretty long. Honestly, I'm probably going to just downvote the video just based on concept alone. Regardless, I'm losing here, because either Yang loses, and it's hugely disrespectful to one of the main people who inspired me to go on the path I'm going on, and it's massively disrespectful to the character because it's not giving them time to develop, and especially because it's a character that I like. Or Yang wins, and it's an unjust victory, and I feel empty about it because, yes, the character I want to win won, but it wasn't supposed to happen. For any who don't really know my background with Ruby, I'm actually the owner of a Ruby roleplay site called the Ruby Fanon Wiki. I'm actually fairly notable, apparently, because I was on panels at Anime North. I was on a panel at Anime North. I was on the Ruby panel, so that was pretty cool. So I'm very invested in the series, although the writing could use work. I like it, but I'm not biased. I recognize a lot of the faults. but just I look at this series and I know that it deserves to actually get its chance to build up its power. Hopefully we actually get a fight that's worth talking about next time, because this one's kind of a travesty and a half. So hopefully nothing explodes with this computer, and this is Joshua Curving, signing out.